Hi, I'm Lewis Rowland. I'm running for United States Senate, and I'm going to tell you why you should vote for me. You know, I'm a Democrat. I've always voted Democratic. I've never run for political office, but there's certain things that all Democrats should believe in. We're for Social Security, and this is back from Franklin Roosevelt. Social Security, Medicare, you know, those things that make life easier for the average person. Those things that protects the lives of the average individual. I'm for Medicare for all. Maybe all Democrats aren't, but I am. You know, everything doesn't have to have a profit motive. People who are for the current system are for a profit motive. They believe it's more important for the health insurance industry to make money than it is for us to have good health care. Because every dime of profit they make is money that does not actually go to health care. And for people who can't see that, they want to keep the system the way it is because they find a way to make money. I've been a school teacher for 30 years. I didn't start teaching for the money, obviously, because I had a passion for what I wanted to teach. I love history, and I've been a coach. So I coach football, basketball, soccer even in middle school, tennis. I've coached tennis. So I've been an athletic coach. And money is not my driving force. Unfortunately, what we have in the United States Congress is a bunch of rich folks. And whether you know it or not, we're in a class war. Those who are very rich and those against those who are not. They've created in Congress every loophole they can to not pay taxes. They'll continue to do that because we continue to put millionaires in office who protect the rights of millionaires. The average everyday citizen has long been neglected from the political process. We have been bamboozled for so long, we don't even know that we're being bamboozled. Now look at all those poor people who voted for Donald Trump. A lot of them are just everyday working class folks. And they thought Donald Trump was the answer for everyday working class people. Here's another guy that's never worked a real job in his entire life. Another elite who all he thinks about is gaming the system. Well, he's not alone. There's a lot of rich Democrats who do the same thing. And let's look at who's running against me. You've got Trudy Bush Valentine. If there's ever been a person who's had a more elite, a more privileged lifestyle in the state of Missouri, I don't know who it is. Her family has lived above the law all their lives. They've had a family member shoot a friend in the face and killed him and received a slap on the wrist. They've had another family member who's wrecked his car, killed the lady, left the scene of the crime, and all of a sudden when daddy's lawyers comes in, all the evidence disappears and he just gets a slap on the wrist. This same guy jumps in a helicopter, flies around impaired in a helicopter, and basically nothing was done. See, they live above the law. They live a lifestyle which we can't even understand. They own the judges. They own the police. They don't live like we do. How in the world can Trudy Bush Valentine represent us? I sat back and watched the endorsements from black newspapers of Trudy Bush Valentine, and I was appalled. This same Trudy Bush Valentine The queen of love and beauty of the Vail Prophet Fair gets the endorsement of the black newspapers. At the same time, we have a historic number of black candidates running for a United States Senate, but because basically none of us have a lot of money, we were completely ignored by the black media in Missouri. It's appalling. What does that say when a person, when they decide to endorse a person that's the queen of one of the most racist organizations that existed in this state, that denied membership to blacks and Jews, but that's their girl. It's all about the money. We need a complete vetting of the entire black political process. There's a reason why black folks don't vote. We don't trust these black politicians. We can't even trust the black newspaper. You know, there's a reason why so many of these black politicians in the St. Louis city up for federal indictment. We got so many crooks running around that you can't trust, that we just take for granted that they're going to be crooked. And the black newspaper, the black press, bought and sold. Bought and sold. Sold out. We have no black press anymore. What used to be, you know, you would think that the black press would have highlighted every black candidate that ran for Senate. They did not. They would have interviewed every black candidate that was running. They did not. That black political organizations would take the time to rally behind any black candidate. Don't get me wrong, they couldn't find a black candidate among the regular black politicians who had the guts to run for statewide office. Yet then they chose to endorse either Trudy Bush Valentine or Lucas Combs. Let me talk about Lucas Combs. Here's a guy who described himself when he first ran for office as a conservative Democrat. Okay, so now he's liberal. Supposedly. Who knows? Here's a guy who considered himself a pro-life Democrat. Now he's pro-choice. Who knows? Here's a guy who in college burnt cereal boxes because he was upset that he could smell the well of weed while he's at Yale University. Now he's for liberalizing all the marijuana laws because now he wants to come off as a stoner. This guy has flip-flopped on almost every position because when he ran for office before, he got his butt beat. And he's figured this conservative this conservative mess don't work. So now he's going to say, hey, look at me now. I'm a progressive. And so many progressive organizations, because he has raised a lot of money since he's been living in Washington so long. Don't live here anymore. Since he lived in Washington for so long and has raised a lot of money, they've endorsed him while completely overlooking anybody else. Now, most people, hey, if you run for political office, most of us don't, hey, most people don't have the connections that some of these folks have. But what's important? Connections or who you want to represent you. Look, I'm 64 years old. I've got an arthritic knee. Who do you think is going to fight for Social Security? Who do you think is going to fight for Medicare for all? I'm 30 years an educator. Who's going to fight for public education? You know what? I signed the pledge, for a Green New Deal to protect our environment. I signed the pledge for a Green New Deal because I believe that climate change is real. That if we don't take immediate steps, we are reaching a point where we can't fix it. Where our descendants will be impaired forever if we don't decide to get rid of the fossil-based fuel mentality that some folks have. Do these other candidates have that same commitment? Are they just, or are they just like these Republicans, that the only thing they care about is how much money they can put in their pockets? These Republicans, and what a horrendous mess of thieves they are. These same folks who support Donald Trump, the guy who led an insurrection against this country, the guy who committed treason. These Republicans are complicit in that treason. You've got these people running to Mar-a-Lago and who are begging for an endorsement from this fool who tried to take over this country through force. You've got these people who continue to play the race card, who talk about things like critical race theory. Now, there's this teacher down at Greenfield High School, at Greenfield High School, who got fired. Her name's Kim Morrison. She tried to have her kids empathize with a fictional black character. They started crying, she's teaching critical race theory. And they fired her because they didn't want her to teach her white students to feel what a black fictional character was going through. How racist is that? When we talk about race in Missouri, we have to heal. But we can't heal unless we understand what Missouri has gone through. Missouri came into this country as a slave state through the Missouri Compromise. You all went to school. You may have missed some of this, but go back and look at Missouri Compromise. Missouri came into this state as a slave state because of the Missouri Compromise. My descendants are slaves in Missouri. When Trudy Bush Valentine's family was making money through beer, my family was making money for somebody else because they were slaves. In Missouri. In Phelps County. In St. Francis County. In Miller County. The difference between Trudy Bush Valentine and me is her great-grandparents were able to make money pursuing a career. So she was blessed with all that money. I wasn't blessed with no money. My great-grandparents were slaves. And they busted their butts and made something of themselves. Matter of fact, they became landowners. They paid property taxes. They paid property taxes for schools that my parents couldn't go to. My mother never went a day in an elementary school because where she lived in Miller County, there weren't enough black people there to have a quote-unquote colored school. She never spent a day in elementary school, but she was literate and she was educated. My dad had to leave Rolla, Missouri after 6th grade or after elementary school to move to St. Louis with an aunt so he can go to high school, because Rolla High School was whites only. But am I bitter about that? No, I'm not bitter about that. That's the way it was. That didn't affect me. It didn't affect me personally, but yes, it does affect me, because generational wealth means something. Why am I not well known versus Trudy Bush Valentine? Because her generational wealth made it so she can be front page when she runs for office, because great grandpa started a brewery. Well, great grandpa for me was a slave. So I don't get the benefits. I don't reap the benefits, because she's never won a political office. She's never represented this state as a politician. She's never run for office before, and neither have I. But when she runs for office, she gets front page news. When I run for office, I get, I'm like Gilligan's Island. And, before they changed the lyrics, when it got to the Professor Marianne, they used to just say, and the rest. I was and the rest. You have to make a decision. You can watch all these commercials and read all the hype and think about who they want you to vote or who's going to represent you. Look, I'm the guy that's been in a union, in a labor union, with the American Federation of Teachers. I'm the guy that's going to have your back. I'm the guy who has gone to city after city after city in rural Missouri, because when I got invited someplace, I went. I didn't see Trudy Bush Valentine. I didn't see Lucas Combs. But I went to these places, and I've had an education learning about small farmers. And basically, I've learned that these corporations have begun to treat our farmers as if they're sharecroppers. They do all the work, take all the risks, but the corporations make all the money. So they're working 16-hour days, busting their ass, with almost nothing to show for it. That's got to change. I will help change that. Because, see, my grandparents and great-grandparents, they were farmers. Don't get me wrong, I'm a city slicker. I'm from St. Louis. I played Matthew Dickey baseball. I went to Southwest High School. I was captain of the football team. I'm from St. Louis. I played ball up at West End Center. Hey, those of you that know me. I'm not going to tell you no crap. I'm not in a bunch of organizations. I never joined a fraternity, none of that. Because I was never a joiner kind of person. But I tell you what I believe, and I tell you what I feel, and I'm no dummy. If you had me in the United States Senate, I'd have your back. Matter of fact, let me tell you some things I would try to do. First thing I try to do is get statehood for D.C. Because doesn't make sense for Washington, D.C., who has more people than many of these states that have 2 senators, to not have 2 senators represent them in Washington. I'd also, if Puerto Rico decided to have one, they wanted to be a state, I would push for statehood for Puerto Rico. You know what that is? That's 4 Democratic senators. I'll tell you what else I would do. If we held on to the Senate and House, I would increase the number of Supreme Court justices. Because when you took a crook like Trump to put 3 people on the court, and a crook like McConnell to deny Merrick Garland's appointment to the court, then there has to be changes. That's why we have this crap like them basically ending Roe v. Wade. When you have these fools who have their own, their own mindset as far as what they want to do with this country, who don't have the good sense to think that there should be an assault weapons ban. If you look on my webpage, I didn't have to wait till none of these shootings to say that. When I put up my webpage, that's one of the first things I put up was an assault weapons ban. Because it don't make sense for the average person to be walking around with military-style weapons. Because you know what? There's too many people with mental health issues in the United States. You know there has to be people who have mental health problems. Because look at all the people who voted for Trump. You know something wrong. Something's wrong when that many people vote for a fool like Trump. You vote for me, I'll make some changes. Obviously, I can't do it by myself, but this country has to make decisions. Are we going to continue to put these Republicans in office who are about race baiting, who are about white supremacy? They've already decided, hey, we're the party of white supremacy, and we're going to push this whiteness as far as we can. And don't get me wrong, there's marvelous white people in this country, good people, but unfortunately, the majority of white people are trapped into this whiteness ideology that have been pushed down their throat because of Fox News, and the media just keeps hammering it with them over and over and over, and they begin to believe this crap. I went down to Potosi, Missouri. Oh my God, it's some of the poorest spots I've ever seen in my life, and they love the Republican Party. The same party that would deny them health care. The same party that would deny them Social Security. The same party that would keep them from joining the union, that would bring this right to work crap. They've been brainwashed to believe that that stuff will actually help them. And they're poorer than the poor black folk. They're poor as poor. It's unbelievable. But understand, when you get fed the same thing over and over and over and over and over, you begin to believe that crap. Like Eric Schmidt. He's making a case like, hey, look what I did. Eric Schmidt. I filed legal cases against people trying to mandate masks. But what were they trying to do when they tried to put masks on folks? They were trying to keep your kid from dying. So he's saying, look, I stopped them from trying to keep your kid from dying. Because I would rather for them to get sick than to put on a damn mask. How sick is that? He's the Attorney General of the state of Missouri. What a piece of crap. And it's Republican after Republican after Republican. You know, hey, all they think about is personal wealth. They will do anything to make money. They will bring charter schools they bring charter schools to Kansas City and St. Louis, where you have a large black population. Charter schools aren't legal anywhere else. But they think they can privatize these schools so they can make money off of them. Just like they don't want Medicare for all because they make money off of that health insurance industry. If they can make money off health insurance, they don't care if you get health care or not. You vote for me, I'll fight for you. You vote for me, I'll fight for you. I know that you're going to get inundated with commercial after commercial after commercial. You're not going to probably see my name much. Lewis Rowland. I'm the first name on the ballot. You know, some things happen for a reason. My name's at the top of the ballot for a reason. Because I'm your top choice. You vote for me, I got you. You vote for me. And some people think, well, we have to vote for somebody that'll beat the Republicans. You know what? They've been saying this for years. Hey, they want to say, oh, we get some conservative Democrat in there, they'll beat the Republican, and it never happens. It never happens. I will take it to all those Republicans because you know what? Democratic Party is more right than they are. Don't get me wrong, the Democratic Party is not perfect because there are some things the Democratic Party needs to fix, particularly locally. But their ideals of protecting the rights of the average person is right on point. You put me in there, hey, I'm an average person. I'm the average person. I got you. Give me your vote, and I'll fight for you.